in Europe and the Americas, all based on fabricating tales against our motherland.
In a move which critically utilizes the media to verify a false and phony atmosphere of fear and persecution, scores are bringing dishonor, shame and disgrace on the country's immaculate standing to satisfy their need for greener pastures. And a few unscrupulous personalities in the local media as well. One thinks they would be more responsible, but investigators recently uncovered yet another bogus asylum ploy, producing a host of false attestations to justify their intentions. And now, Malang Fati, Alhaji Sambu Fati, Bakari Balde, and Amadou Sane are helping state investigators shed greater light on a matter which could have deep connections.
On the 19th of September 2013, one Malang Fati, native of Bantanto, CRR, presently residing in Latukunda, Sabiji, was arrested at Amdalai border post by state security agents, and during a search found in possession of a seditious attestation against the state written by one Amadou Sane, UDP National Treasurer and Executive Member, seeking for political asylum, refugee, by all definitions and standard, on behalf of suspect, so that he will be granted protection under all international human rights regulations as alleged. In the same vein, the elder brother of suspect, Sambu Fati, accepted that he contacted Mr. Amadou Sane at the UDP Political Bureau in Banjul to provide him with the said attestation, thereby tarnishing the reputable image of our good and able leadership, Ejije Jame, and the country to the international community. Furthermore, prime suspect Malang has intimated to the investigation that he was never at any time arrested and detained by any sister security unit.
Amadou wouldn't speak to reporters, but when journalists questioned his accomplice Malang Fati, he stated that he has never been arrested or put under custody in the Gambia. None of the allegations alleged ever happened, according to Fati, who looked dejected and crestfallen. False and untrue allegations, but others will go all the way to secure financial or foreign refuge in a desired haven, whilst a nation suffers unwarranted blame and external misconstruction. Fake and spurious attestations just to secure access and asylum in Europe. It's a growing trend, bringing immense repute on the good name of the Gambia. But now, intelligence officials are zeroing in on all known suspects, moving to get down to the bottom of a matter, seeking to tarnish the good name of a country vastly known for its unaffected peace and security. Ibrahim Ajata, GRTS.
Efforts aim at standardizing the writing systems of the Wolof and Yoruba languages for Africa integration and development is on the way in Banjul. Louis Mende has more on the 5-day seminar for officials of the Africa Academy of Languages and stakeholders to adequately prepare them for their term in office.
Of states hold the belief that the use of African languages alongside the ECOWAS official working languages of English, French and Portuguese can influence in no small measure the economic, social and all-round development of Africa. But that continental goal can only be realized by ensuring African languages are incorporated into the educational curriculum of the region. For that reason, the African Academy of Languages, ACALAN, is poised to promoting the development of African languages for the integration of Africa, is here with partners for the establishment of the Wolof and Yoruba vehicular cross-border languages. The goal of the 5-day seminar is to harmonize and standardize the writing and reading systems of the two languages for the purpose of fast-tracking the integration and development of Africa.
We need to make sure that we capitalize on that, so that if, for example, somebody writes a book in Mauritania, it can be used in the Gambia, it can be used in Senegal, and vice versa. So, Honorable Representative of the Minister, this is what brought us here. We have people here from Senegal, from Mauritania, and from the Gambia. We also invited our focal points from Benin, from Nigeria, and the representative of ECOWAS and UNESCO, because these are our strategic partners.
Akalan's vision tallies with ECOWAS regional integration agenda on the cultural development program for Africa, as ECOWAS acknowledges that culture is a dynamic instrument that affects humanity in all stages of life.
The preservation, development, and propagation of our African languages is a must for the survival of our African cultural renaissance and for the perpetuation of our region. Any people that ensure the integration of their language into their developmental strategies can be said to have wisdom and therefore on the right track to attaining a well-balanced development that is rooted in socio-economic emancipation of individual citizens and all-round independence of the larger society.
Our languages are unable to name, like for example, new diseases and technologies such as HIV and AIDS, flu, computers, and the internet. They are unable to describe new economic pressures such as inflation, deflation, currency fluctuations, and exchange rates. They cannot conceptualize global warming, desertification, climate change, and school subjects such as chemistry and physics.
Mr. Job bemoans the absence of such concepts in our languages inhibits African participation in the international arenas. The introduction of the Wolof and Yoruba vehicular cross-border languages is expected to examine a number of issues relating to infusing emerging new concepts and technologies into African languages, thus increasing Africans' full participation in international levels. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education played host to the convergence, with immense support from Amiko Lembai, the director of MOPSI, and Safiatou Savage Sidibe of Akalan.
My ministry, with the unflinching and unwavering support of the government, will continue to work on the development and promotion of languages geared towards the achievement of the AU's aims and objectives. Guided by the cardinal principle of our education service delivery, I quote, respect for the rights of the individual, cultural diversity, indigenous languages and knowledge, and the promotion of ethical norms and values and a culture of peace, end of quote.
This seminar aimed at standardizing the writing systems of the Wolof and Yoruba languages as well as building the capacities of the language commissions to adequately prepare them for their term in office is expected to bring to fruition the goal of Africa integration and development. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Participants from the National Disaster Management Agency have gathered for a two-day training on data management. The World Bank-sponsored program through the Global Facility for Disaster Risk Reductions, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, European Union is aimed at assisting the Gambia government strengthen disaster risk reduction capabilities. Modubajan reports.
Hardly hit by flash floods causing great loss to lives and properties. Since the past decade, a number of Gambians living in towns and settled in unplanned peri-urban peripheries. This controlled sprawl prompted others to settle in high-risk, flood-prone areas. The Gambia since then has been grappling with disaster issues, leading the government to find a possible situation to deal with this natural calamity. In 2007, it adopted a national disaster management policy aimed at building safe and resilient communities by enhancing the use of access to knowledge and information in disaster prevention and management.
We all know the government of the Gambia is quite committed in the development of what is called a National Disaster Risk Reduction and Climate Change Program in this country, and this has received strong support from the development partners. In this context, the World Bank, through the Global Facility for Disaster Risk Reduction, GFDRR, and the Africa, Caribbean, and European Union, ACP EU Trust Fund, is supporting the government's efforts to reduce the vulnerability to disasters of the Gambian population through strengthened institutional capacity to manage risk and improve access to information to mainstream disaster risk reduction into infrastructural development processes.
As government continues its drive to mitigate the effects of disasters, it has recently received a boost from the World Bank to train the National Disaster Management Agency personnel and partners on data management, which is expected to help reduce vulnerabilities of disaster in the country.
Risk that Gambia has to face, and it is always important to know first where this risk occur, why are the population affected by this risk, and what is the importance of the disaster. So for the